Well, we're back. It's night 29. Sometimes I skip a night just because it's a lot to set all this up. I mean, it's not really a lot, but when you're used to doing absolutely nothing all day, this kind of seems like a thing. So if you miss a night, it's just because I got a little lazy. But we're trying to do it every night. Tonight we're drinking 2 Gingers Irish whiskey, and I really like all Irish whiskeys on the rocks. I don't have the esophagus to handle it straight, really, which I know is kind of sissy, and I like on the bottle, see, they have the little green, white, red, and then if you look on the back, they even give you a recipe. If you fill a Collins glass, wow, I didn't think anybody but my parents still said that, with ice, pour 2 parts Ginger's whiskey, and then top it off with ginger ale. Wedge both lemon and lime. That's their ginger drink they're recommending. This is imported by Kilbeggan Distilling, import company, Deerfield, Illinois. I actually had this in an Irish bar that's attached to the Lowe's Hotel in Minneapolis when I was there last time. That's where I tasted it. But it's the oldest, they claim it the oldest continually running distillery in Ireland. So there you go. That's a little something. And we're back. This is getting really good. I told you guys this book was worth the wait. A lot of things happening. Now they've moved to Vegas. They have nowhere to live. He's not going to gamble. He's decided that didn't work. He's just going to run into famous people. And he's really good at barging in places. We've already established that. And his tenacity is stellar. It's just really something. So now he's trying to buy a trailer, but he doesn't have any money. So he tells the old guy, I don't have any money. We don't even have $100 to our name, but my kid can sing. No pressure on the 11-year-old at all. Mr. Day said he had a wife who was in a wheelchair. She'd had both legs amputated. More than anything in the world, she loved to play the piano and have people sing with her. So off we went to meet Dovey Day, who wheeled right over to the piano and began playing hymns. Some of them I knew and some of them I didn't. If I didn't know the words, I'd read them from her hymnals. Finally, Mr. Day said, well, Mr. Tucker, I believe you're right about your daughter's talent. How can I help? Daddy said, you could put me in touch with people who lend money. I don't have any collateral except Tanya. I don't think your child should be collateral. I don't know if that counts in a bank when you're going to get a loan and go, I got youngins. They got talent. They're not just average. And then make her belt out a song in the bank. I don't have any collateral except Tanya and a strong back. I'm a hard worker. Yeah, but you sold all your toodles. Remember that? Last chapter? Seems unbelievable, but after Daddy and Mr. Day made the rounds of several savings and loans offices, they found somebody who'd take a chance on us and give us a loan. Vegas was pretty freewheeling in those days, and even though with Mr. Day's help we had a trailer. Dad started lining up some part-time jobs, and that would bring in trailer payments and food money and still allow him to pitch tapes. We were ready to take on Vegas. See? Just keep thinking it. It'll happen. Keep smiling. I don't care what happens. Just keep smiling. Bless yourself. Right after we got settled, Daddy met a guy who booked acts for several of the casinos. He listened to my tapes and said he could make me a star. No problem. Well, to us, he seemed like a person who had the know-how, the experience, and the connections to get us rolling. But what we didn't know was that he was on the take. He'd book an act into a lounge and demand a hefty piece of the artist's pay under the table. Otherwise, he'd find another act. Well, this is what you're going to get a lot of in Las Vegas. A lot of questionable people to this day. Probably not as many now. A lot of corporations involved cleaning it up. We found out all that after we'd signed a contract. Wonk, wonk. Keep smiling. The day Daddy learned what the guy's real name was, he went down and asked for the contract back. The guy just laughed in his face. My daddy turned and stomped out of there and showed back up at the trailer. I'm going to shoot that bastard, he said to Mother. Well, that's one way to get out of a contract. Shoot the asshole who devised the contract and made you sign it. If he's dead, I assume the contract is dead. If they don't find out you did it. He hauled his pistol out of the drawer, loaded it, and left. Mother and I sat on the couch wide-eyed. I bet I think I'd be super wide-eyed too. Not knowing what to expect. In Las Vegas, you never knew who you might be dealing with. 30 minutes later, Dad was back with the contract, which he promptly tore into shreds. From then on, Dad tried to be more careful about what he signed. Well, it's good that everyone's learning. Let's learn as we live. Not long after we'd set off for a talent show being held down on the Strip, it was sponsored by an independent record label. We'd never heard of the company, but they were supposed to and have some real money behind them. After we took off down the road, we realized the gas gauge was bumping empty. We didn't have a dime on us, so we pulled into the first. How is an 11-year-old dealing with these levels of stress? I assume if it happens every day, eventually you get used to it and just, well, Daddy's probably gonna shoot somebody, and turns out we ain't got no money, and it's just another Tuesday. Daddy. We didn't have a dime on us, so we pulled to the first station we came to. Daddy got a jack out of the trunk. He walked over and told the man working there he didn't have any money, but would he consider trading a few gallons of gasoline for a jack? The guy backed off and told us to get out. Well, that didn't stop us. I bet not. Daddy pulled a U-turn, went to the station across the street, offered them the same deal. This fellow was more receptive. He accepted the jack and told us we could have the gas, but we'd have to pump it ourselves. Now you're just giving away stuff in the trunk. Like, now you can't ever, I hope you don't get a flat tire. It's really going to suck. You have to lift the car up yourself because you gave away your jack. Thanks to the jack, we'd made it to the talent show. I sang, and a couple days later, we got a call. The record company wanted me to sign a recording contract. Ooh, well, we better be careful about that. We've learned what happened before. Daddy didn't waste any time getting down to the offices. He said when he walked in, he thought he'd died and gone to heaven. The carpet seemed to be about 4 inches thick. All the furniture was new, and he was thinking about how he had to trade a jack to get enough gas to make it to the show, and he was rolling his own cigarettes with Bull Durham to save a few dollars. The man in charge didn't waste any time. He offered us a singles deal, which means the label records and releases a single hoping for a radio hit. Then, if the chart action warrants it, they record an album. He stressed that they believed they could make me into a hit act and that they had the resources to do so. Now, once you sign with us, you and your wife will need to back off from Tanya. I won't sign a deal with any stage mama or daddies. All decisions will be made by us right here in this office. We'll own all recording rights, management, and booking. Everything. And he offered Dad a big check to confirm the deal. Daddy knew that the family needed money desperately. He knew this was a shot, and probably a good one. Since these people had money, he didn't know enough about record deals to know what was good and what wasn't, but the idea of somebody owning his daughter lock, stock, and barrel didn't set right. Smart. So with great reluctance, he got up and walked out empty-handed. Mother liked to have died when he told her he turned down cash money. I like it when hillbillies say cash money, because there's coin money, but aside from cash money, I don't really know what other kind of money there is. Okay. I watched The Godfather of Harlem. Have you guys seen that on Amazon? It's really good. Forrest Whitaker plays an awesome mobster guy, and it's in the 60s. It's all pretty historically accurate, and it's when the black mob went up against the Italian mob, Vinny the Chin. Remember him? Yeah, so Lewis told me to watch that. Totally great. Oh, and I've started Mrs. America on Hulu with Kate Blanchett, Tracy Ullman. It is so good. And Phyllis Schlafly, I am not proud to say, is from my hometown of St. Louis, and I'm a little, embarrassed by that. But the show is phenomenal. So there's a couple tips. Get your 2 gingers, available in the United States. And we're going to sign off like Uncle Ron White with what? Night-night termites.